Today, we're breaking down what happened on April 19th in Iowa City, a night that started out like any other near the University of Iowa's campus, but ended in violence.
To really understand what happened, there's one number you need to keep in mind: 5. Yep, that's how many people had to be rushed to the hospital with gunshot wounds.
And here's the detail that really brought this home for so many people. 3 of those injured were students at the university. That connection immediately sent a shockwave through the entire campus community.
Okay, so let's piece together this sequence of events. Based on what the authorities have said, here's how a busy public area suddenly became a crime scene.
So the big question, right? How did this violence just erupt out of nowhere? Well, according to police, this was not just some random, out-of-the-blue attack.
In fact, officers were already on their way to the scene. They were responding to calls about a big fight breaking out. And that's when they heard the gunshots, and the whole situation just escalated in an instant.
And you got to picture the scene here. This wasn't some isolated side street. This went down right in the heart of downtown, a busy pedestrian area packed with bars and restaurants, exactly where students and locals would be on a night out.
All right, let's talk about the immediate aftermath. We're going to look at how the victims were doing and where the police investigation stood as of that Sunday morning. So you really had these two stories developing at the same time. On the one hand, you have the human toll, one person fighting for their life in critical condition. And then on the other hand, the investigation was kicking into high gear. No arrest yet, but police were already putting out photos, asking the public for help. An incident like this is never just about police tape and hospital reports. It sends ripples through the entire community. And sure enough, we saw immediate responses from both university and state leaders. And you can hear it right there in the university president's statement. The focus was immediately on the people, on the students and their families, and really just acknowledging the fear and the pain that everyone was feeling. Then you have the Iowa governor, who kind of zoomed out, framing this as a tragedy not just for the university, but for the entire state. She condemned the violence and pledged state resources to help with the investigation. But in the middle of all that initial chaos and the official statements, the university sent out a campus-wide alert. And buried in that message was one really critical detail from the early investigation, a detail that kind of changes the way you look at this whole thing. And there it is. The alert sent to all the students said investigators didn't think any of them were the intended targets. That's huge. It suggests that while students were tragically caught in the crossfire, the violence itself might have been about something entirely different. So that leaves us with this final, really important question. If the students weren't the targets, then who was? That one detail just flips the whole script, doesn't it? It suggests this wasn't an attack on the university community, but a separate conflict that spilled over and tragically pulled innocent people into its orbit. For the community, that changes the fear. It's less about being a target and more about the terrifying randomness of just being in the wrong place at the wrong time. And that's the unsettling reality that Iowa City is now grappling with.